So this is a beautiful story, right, about the embodiment of God and what that means, even when we talk about Jesus and the Magdalene, when we talk about Jesus and Mary Magdalene. So they discovered they're discovering who they are. They're discovering that they are an emanation of the divine. And this is why, their remembrance of this is what makes them so critical and so amazing. So even just turning to the Sophia Code, so the Sophia Code is a channeled codex, and that's a super important. Kaia Ra is definitely, she channeled Sophia and wrote this book, and this book is a lot of different initiations and connecting to not only Sophia, the divine mother of all life, but it's a way to connect to ascended masters who have remembered, who have sort of moved through this veil of illusion and remember, and are not only are remembering, but they're embodying their sovereign divinity. That's the whole sort of crux of the Sophia Code. So if the crux of this channeled text is to embody our sovereign divinity and remember who we are, to remember, and it's not something that tells you to follow something or do something differently. It's very much not a religion. The divine feminine, as she is showing up in these different contemporary practices, she's showing up as a way of saying you have everything you need within you. You don't need to connect to God through another medium, another channel. You don't need to connect to God through, you don't need to, there's nobody else you need to connect to God. You are all that you need to connect to God. And not only are you all that you need to connect to God, but you are God as well. You are a fractal of the divine. So it is about really remembering who you are and reaching into that sovereign divinity that allows us to remember who we are. So it's about that, it's that sort of like a downward spiral into who you are, into the truth of who you are, remembering your sovereignty, remembering your divinity, and embodying those pieces, allowing you to go further and further and further into that space of remembrance, that, that core piece that sits in our, in our sacred heart. That's how I see it. The sacred heart piece. The rest of it was Kaia Ra. So a couple of things from this. Sophia speaks, in this present moment, I am the whole universe witnessing you with great curiosity. Beneath the surface of form, I am the ever-loving presence. Although this may feel both comforting and affronting to your human awareness, I know everything about you, both seen and unseen. I am Sophia, the one divine mother, creatrix of all life. I know everything about you, because I conceived your soul within the still center of my womb. I invite you to step inside my presence and remember the ineffable mystery of my warm black womb as the source of all immaculate conceptions. No thing exists within the absolute stillness of my womb. Yet witness how my presence listens within this silence for what is arising as the next great asking to be born. So we are, in this cosmology and in this ideology, this contemporary interpretation of who Sophia is, we ask to be born. So this is part of that emanation. We emanate from the divine, very similar to the aeons of ancient Gnostic thought. And there is a parallel here with Jesus and Mary Magdalene as this ideology in this Christian lineage that I focused on for this presentation, is that they embody the divine the same as we embody the divine. Hugely triggering thought. So allow that to resonate with you, and I invite you to explore that a little bit. Are you divine? A lot of different religions and different thoughts believe that we are divine. So the Sophia Code and Sophia as a channeled codex, it's not just about the Blessed Mother and Mary Magdalene. Their pieces are channeled in here as well. But this connection to Sophia is much more vast. So the contemporary ideology of Sophia is not just about, this feminine aspect of God, or about the first aeon of God, or about the last aeon of God, or about wisdom, the first creation of God. Those are very beautiful ways that Sophia shows up in Gnosticism, Christianity, and Judaism. But Sophia shows up through the divine feminine ascended masters of so many ideologies and religions, this contemporary ideology of Sophia. So Sophia can be, in this ideology, can be whatever you think she is. She can be God the Mother, she can be God the Father, she can be anything you resonate with her. The point is to look at God through the lens of the feminine, to look at God through, as, you know, allowing the feminine to show up as part of, as the creator, as the divine, as the ultimate first being, as that pure mother, father energy. Allowing the feminine to show up really is this beautiful redemption, this beautiful revolution and evolution of us as a species to remember the divinity of all, to remember the divinity of men and women, to remember the divinity of men and women embodying their masculine and embodying their feminine in a good way. So that's how Sophia has sort of evolved through these different lineages, and I only focused on one, and has come into this contemporary perspective of who Sophia is. And it's about celebrating the feminine. It's this lost practice of celebrating our intuition. It's the lost practice of celebrating rest. It's the lost practice of celebrating silence. It's this beautiful lost practice of celebrating the woman, our feminine, and being in our feminine, embodied practices. You know, being in our bodies and not thinking about things, allowing in this instinctual feminine to show up. And the way that, you know, I love the way that Kaia Ra puts this in the Sophia Code, because she has these different key codes who are these ascended masters, and they span as far back as Egypt. So Isis, it is through the channeling of Isis that we understand one part of the divinity of Sophia, and it is through Isis that we are able to remember a specific fractal of piece of our divinity, of the divinity within us. So each of these ascended masters comes with a message, bearing a message of the, you know, the divine feminine that is in their work when they were here, when they were living. And, you know, the great Bodhisattva, of course, Kuan Yin is a part of this work, because not only does the great Bodhisattva Kuan Yin ascend to Buddhahood, ascend to enlightenment. Is enlightenment the thinning of the veil where we realize who we are, where we remember our divinity? Is that what enlightenment is? And the great Bodhisattva Kuan Yin in Buddhism, you know, there's Buddhahood, attaining Buddhahood, which Kuan Yin did, but to become a Bodhisattva means that we stay here, that even though we've attained Buddhahood and we can go on to Nirvana, this whatever Nirvana is, some of these Buddhas choose to stay here and help everyone ascend, not just the elite, not just the hierarchical elite, not just the woo-woo people, not just the whatever group religion feels best to you, but the great Bodhisattva is here for everyone. The great Bodhisattva is here to remind everyone of their divinity. There is no hierarchy. We are all divine. We are all fractals of the divine. We are all sovereign, and we are all one. So there's this beautiful oneness, how Sophia shows up in all these different cosmologies. Green Tara for Buddhism, Kuan Yin for Buddhism, White Buffalo Woman from a Native American, which is really just an unbelievable story to be a part of, and to witness how Sophia moves through all of these different cosmologies, all of these different ideologies, to show us what who the divine feminine is and why we need to embody the feminine. So Sophia has lots of different roots in all these different religions, and there's this beautiful piece of pulling everything together to show us the divine feminine, not just in the Godhead, not just in the aeons, the emanations of God, not just in, you know, the amazing humans that walked this earth and showed us the way, the ascended masters, Jesus, Mary Magdalene, Blessed Mother, White Buffalo Woman, but also to show us how Sophia, the great mother, is within all of us. She is a huge part of all of us. She is a part that's been forgotten, and she is a part of us that it is time to wake up and remember and to celebrate. And a big part of celebrating the feminine is celebrating each and every one of us. So there's no wonder that in this time of the Great Mother showing up in so many different ways and spaces and however, that we are really starting to witness and embody our sovereignty, witness our own empowerment, witness our own truth. And again, it's all a process. We're really drilling into our truth, and our new truths show up, and new truths keep showing up. They just keep showing up as we continue to just like release and get rid of all those toxic, old, ancestral, lineage, lifetime beliefs that we are not divine, that we are not sovereign. So as we keep drilling into this truth, remembering our sovereign divinity, we continue to hone in on our truth deeper and deeper and deeper into that reality. And not only do we have that sovereign peace, that unique and independent journey, but we also remember that we're one. So it's also no wonder that there's so much civic unrest that keeps coming up, louder and louder and louder and louder. And there is a lot to unpack there. There is a lot to fall in love with. There is a lot of us waking up. And it's a little it's very triggering and affronting, I think, to witness not only how we have allowed people to treat us, but how we've allowed people to treat our brothers and sisters, how we have treated our brothers and sisters. So that is the Divine Feminine. The Divine Feminine is all, I want to get her actual words because I think she says it so perfectly and succinctly. I love you. You are free. You are me. We are one. It is safe to remember and reveal who you really are now. And that is my absolute favorite line of this codex, of the Sophia Code.